Welcome to the Scoop with Dukes. I'm your host, Philip Dukes, aka Dukes the Scoop. Check me out on Twitter and Instagram at Dukes the Scoop. And please be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. And go become a member. If you want to support, we have varying levels of support. Feel free. Go drop a line and let me know what's going on. All right, right now we got to talk about Auburn being in fall camp. Practice 2 was today. Yesterday, there was a lot of good. They had a media open session yesterday, so there was a lot of good information out. I wanted to wait till today and just kind of combine the 2 days of information that I did get. And I'll say um, probably a guy who's had a real good camp that we may take for granted is Jackson Arnold. So from what I'm hearing, Jackson, there was a lot in this spring. I think a lot of people were, kind of like Deuce Knight was, he went so long without throwing an interception, and he gives you, the mobility factor as far as running. But man, Jackson Arnold is winning this team over, and not to say that he had anything more to win over, but I think from talking to some guys, the way that he's starting to take the lead, I'm not sure if that's because he was named the starter, but being more vocal. He was a guy who was known as being a little more on the reserve side, but he's starting to be a little more vocal. And the team is seeing the talent that got him here, that got him to Auburn. I think the throws that he's making right now, I heard that the last 2 days, Eric Singleton and Cam Coleman have been basically unguardable. And just pick your poison, and Jackson Arnold has been dealing. So it's not even about just, and these are our team sessions. Like, you got your individuals and, but in team sessions, they are saying that Jackson Arnold has been impressive. And I'm glad to hear it because this is a guy who years ago, if Auburn would have got Jackson Arnold, it would have been news for the ages. Him being this highly ranked 5-star quarterback, so good that Dylan Gabriel moved to Oregon, based with Oklahoma knowing what they had coming. Then last year he had a year from hell, and Hugh Freeze. Now I will say this: he is quite the optimist. Even the year with Peyton Thorne, where he was like, "Listen, if we had better players here, if we had guys who were doing the right thing here, he's going to be, he has the tools. He can be really good." So he goes out and he puts all these receivers around him, gets a little bit better up front. Up front, he's not as good as he thought he was going to be. The receivers, while an upgrade, because KLS is balling. He had a great night tonight in the Hall of Fame game. You still didn't have the complement of receivers that it was going to take to make Peyton Thorne a top tier SEC quarterback. And we wish Peyton Thorne the best as he's in camp right now, but not the season that you wanted. I think Jackson Arnold may be the guy. Um, I just think, I just think Auburn has everything it takes to be a 9-3, 10-2 team. I've been bullish on it. I haven't really wanted to go ahead and just say how I really feel, but I just don't think I just think offensively, how hard are they going to beat 4 touchdowns a game? I see it. Like, if Auburn's not scoring, it's not averaging 25, 26 points a game, something is wrong. And maybe a little more than that. This seems like one of those years. And from the beginning of fall camp, first 2 practices, seems like Jackson Arnold has really taken the reins and the unquestioned leader of that offense. Now, I want to get back to being unguardable. So the first 3 receivers out are Perry Thompson, um, Cam Coleman, and Eric Singleton, Brendan Fraser at tight end. So Malcolm Simmons would be that third receiver. He is practicing. Right now, he isn't running with the ones. So you don't know who will actually be that third one. But right now, Perry Thompson has started out. I think Horatio Fields is going to make a run for that slot. Depending on who you ask, during the media session, some people saw Horatio with the 3s. I was hearing that he was with the 2s and got a few with the 1s. So Horatio Fields is somebody to watch, but Perry Thompson is still uh, making strides to be that next guy up. And probably the fourth guy when you go four wides if Malcolm Simmons is available. If not, then Horatio Fields seems like he'll be that guy. But still, even with Deuce Knight, man, still doing some really good things. That second unit is another monster unit, just like you just replaced four with another four. Three receivers. I mean, when you can just go Horatio Fields and Sam Turner. I mean, sheesh. And if Malcolm Simmons was with the threes, your second three would be Perry Thompson, Horatio Fields, and Sam Turner. Sam Turner continues to turn heads. Everybody, he's probably the steal of last year's class. He's still been impressive. Running backs pretty much status quo. I did hear a little bit about Omar Mampson, but I didn't. It wasn't like it was brought up to the point where it was like, oh, he's just unreal. But some good things being done. I think Jeremiah Cobb has a pinky or hand or something like that, but it's something that just has him in a yellow jersey. So we'll see how that goes. Defensively was where I got a lot of the juice from. And one guy who everyone is excited about defensively, I'm not sure if he starts yet, but it's going to be hard to keep him off the field. And that's Rayshawn Pleasant. Rayshawn Pleasant has garnered the respect of his teammates, not just for what he does on the field, but off the field. Say Rayshawn's the first person there, last person out, handles his business very maturely. He knows he's there for a reason, and his old goal is to get to the league. A ton of scouts at today's practice. I know at least 3 teams that I know personally were there, and but I heard there were a lot of scouts there. Rayshawn Pleasant is going to be a guy that's going to turn some heads, and depending on the type, he has another year after this one, but depending on the type of year he has, I don't think he would leave this year. But man, I heard a lot of good things from outside Auburn and inside Auburn about Rayshawn Pleasant the first 2 days. Really excited about him. A guy who can play right now. He's been playing some nickel. Sylvester Smith has been the first guy out in nickel. So not the safety role for Sylvester. First secondary out from what I'm hearing is K. Lee is still on the perimeter. Let's say K. Lee field side. Then you would go Jacquez Robinson, the field safety. Boundary side, Caleb Harris and Jay Crawford. And then that nickel slot, Sylvester Smith. But you'll see a lot of Rayshawn Pleasant. Strader's still been on the perimeter. Still got some your young guys. Still got New Boy is playing all around the secondary. They're going to figure out what's going to be the best fit for him. Is he going to be an up top safety, or is he going to be that nickel guy who can come in? But what I do continue to hear about New Boy is how smart he is. His IQ is something that, and just having a nose for the ball. So what he doesn't have as far as an elite athleticism, he's a great athlete. I wouldn't call him an elite athlete, but what he doesn't have there, he makes up for with IQ. So he's another guy that's being impressive with his IQ. But another star so far has been Jared Smith. So Jared Smith has been turning heads. A guy who they feel like can slot right into Keldrick Faulk's role last year. People were worried about how much weight he was going to be able to put on. I'm hearing he's comfortably 260 already, looking really good. And I'm hearing that the D line, is putting press. When they go to team, D line is giving the offensive line some fits right now. When you talk about Kieran Crawford and Chris Murray, those 2 guys definitely flashing, but the young guys are what's really exciting, because when you look at Kieran Crawford and you look at Chris Murray, these are 2 guys who are a little bit older. So right now, the potential, they're like ready-made products. They're gonna get off, but the potential of the young guys and how they're flashing already. Jared Smith, Malik Autry, who's a mammoth guy. There's no way you keep Malik Autry off the field this year. And Jordan Crawford been balling too. Those 3, mark my words. If there's a position group for the future for Auburn to be excited about, it's got to be that D-line. Jared Smith, Malik Autry, Jordan Crawford are going to be a pain for SEC offensive lines for years to come. Mark my words. You may not see all 3 of them together right now, but in the future, this class is going to be one of those classes that reminds you of the Derrick Brown, Marlon Davidson class. That's how important last year's defensive line class is to what Auburn does in the future. So you'll see them flash some this year, but Jared Smith, Malik Autry, and Jordan Crawford will end up being the best D line class Auburn has had in years, probably since Derrick Brown and Marlon Davidson. They say they are killing it in camp. I'm glad to hear, and I would just expect more good things from those three. Somebody else who's been flashing in the passing game is Xavier Atkins, someone who I think when in passing downs, I think you start out with Woodard and Riddick. But I think on passing downs, you see some sort. You see, I think he's your guy. I think he could possibly be your dime backer. So he can really run and he will hit you. A little bit undersized, but he can run. And I'm hearing really good things about what he's been doing in the passing game. So uh, definitely be watching for Xavier Atkins. But they said he had a really strong couple of days in coverage. If anybody else I could think of that I may have missed. Oh, I remember. James Ash from FAMU. Ash is gonna help Auburn. They say he's really like the way he's take care of his body. He's really taken to the weight training program. He's gonna be someone that's really gonna help you this year. Another rotational piece on that defensive line, which is getting deeper and deeper by the day as they've added so many pieces. But James Ash, the transfer portal guy from FAMU, he's impressed with what he's done with his body and what he's doing on the field. Another big rotational piece, as Quintrell has been out for the last couple of days with a matter, and I think, but going forward, and which hopefully gets resolved soon. But it's not like it's not like a rest type deal. I think some personal issues, but you'll see him. But in the meantime, I think James Ash is someone who's continuing to impress coaches. And when I ask about guys who are flashing, James Ash is a guy who is flashing. And yeah, the scouts were impressed. Auburn has a really deep list when you look at the Senior Bowl list. So the Senior Bowl list did come out, and we can look at this right. And this is a good indicator of how talented this Auburn team is this year. Every name on here is on the watch list for the Senior Bowl, and I can't remember the last time Auburn had this many people on the Senior Bowl watch list. Xavier Chaplin, Keyron Crawford, Keldrick Falk, Preston Howard, Kayan Lee, Connor Liu, Eric Singleton, Dylan Wade, Caleb Wheatland, Jeremiah Wright, Damari Austin, Champ Anthony, Jackson Arnold, Horatio Fields, Quintrell Jamison Travis, Xavier Miller, Mason Murphy, Chris Murray, Darrell Robinson, Taycee Moore, Dallas Walker, Robert Woodard. Now, we know this is just a watch list, but these are all talented guys that have had something where the Senior Bowl says, okay, these are guys that you got to put on the board and see how they play. I don't think it's been a long time since Auburn had that many people that they had to at least put on the Senior Bowl board to watch. And there are guys who weren't named on here that I think will be on the board, like Jaquez Robinson. I think has the potential to have a great year. And Jacoby Matthews is a ball player. I'm not right now. He's not, with the ones, but just be patient. He wasn't a five. Like I think he's come in working hard. So I think that 5-star pedigree will resurface as he continues to stack days and really get acclimated to being in Auburn. So, and another thing too that I did hear is that Auburn is doing a really good job of staying off the ground. A lot of times where you have these practices where you're just really supposed to thud, if that, you don't want to or not if not even thud, two-hand touch or not be too physical. And Auburn's doing a great job of staying off the ground for what I'm hearing. So that's always a good thing where you can get real game-like looks without the potential of really, of hurting each other. Because if Auburn stays healthy this year, and Coach Freeze is not a huge fan of and he's been, he's adamant about it. Like, look, I'm not trying to go beat up my players, for this long camp and then go play the season. But and I get it because if you can't tackle at this level, when will you be able to tackle, right? But I think it just goes to speak to the discipline and the business-like mindset of what Auburn has right now. And I'm excited for the season. And Auburn fans, you should be too. So that's my time for tonight. This should drop early in the morning. I'll make sure I get it out. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Hit the like and subscribe button. And, shoot, if you want to hear me or you want to hear me talk about something else or interview somebody, drop that name in the comments and I'll see what I can get done. All right, man. Appreciate y'all. Peace.